Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Today I have a special guest, a super fun special guest. I can already tell this conversation is going to go in some kind of direction, just be based on the banter that you and I have. But for those who don't know, this is Al Painter. He's the owner operator of Integrate Performance Fitness. He loves hockey the way that I do, and he hates Reese cups. So
Oh, yes.
we can jump into that right off the hop if you want to. I wasn't really planning on it, but it kind of just it kind of just
Well,
happened.
I think from a rating standpoint, I feel that your listeners need to see what is clearly a biased opinion of the peanut butter cup world.
Yeah.
I think they need to get the other side of it so it's balanced.
I mean, this is still a one-sided debate in my opinion because there's no comparison between a Reese cup and any other cup, peanut butter cup in the world. But if you want to speak your piece, I don't know if you're affiliated with Justin's or
I
not.
see what you did there.
You have a coupon
My
code.
piece,
So you got that?
Reese's Pieces.
See?
Well done, dude.
I've been doing this for some time. But in all seriousness, because we will probably talk shit about chocolate and Reese cups. Because I don't know your full backstory, and you can take as long as you need to, but like what brought you here? What brought you into coaching? What got you into fitness? Why? Who is Al? What's his deal?
Existentially, professionally, personally,
Yeah, all of the above.
everythingly. Okay.
Definitely.
When I was 21, let me back it up. My father put a baseball glove, which I still have my very first baseball glove, on my hand at the age of 7. And it was it's been a lifelong love affair ever since. I mean, to me, baseball just perfectly encapsulates life in terms of the beginning of the mosaic and how it can unfurl in so many different directions and how momentum goes from one side of the field to the other. You play hockey, you see it, right? One bench to the other one. And how trying to outsmart your opponent is better than trying to beat them because it's a smoother process. It's less energy, less everything involved. And how the crescendo of magic or misery after the last out, depending in which dugout you're in, and how you have to adjust to change your strategy for the next time, next game, next at bat. It's a constant adjustment, which is what life is, right? I mean, 5 years ago, your future self now, 5 years ago, you probably didn't think, well, this is my future self. Here's all the stuff I'm going to be doing and everything else. So it's the first inning and the ninth inning, you're not the same player ever, right? So it's kind of that's how life is, I think. And I mean, I love baseball. Is just it broke my heart way before any relationship ever did.
That's that's
For
that's the beauty of
sure.
sports, right? That'll do that to
Oh
you.
yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
I've never I appreciate that breakdown because like I never really played baseball as a Canadian. I played and Greek background. I played soccer in the summer and hockey in the winter.
Nice.
That's it. So I was always kind of on the move with that stuff and sometimes lacrosse, which I absolutely sucked at because I hated running. But with baseball, I've never looked at it in the way you put that. You're not the same player as the first inning and the ninth inning. I've never really thought of it like that because to me, it's like, okay, you're going up, you're going to at bat, you're trying to score, and that's it. Like that's all I kind of took in terms of like in baseball. And I've never, like I said, I've never played it competitively. All I know is what I've seen on TV or in person. So it's a very interesting parallel between that and life because it's true. Like you have to, as you said, you have to adapt, you have to change on the fly. Some baseball games do take, the span of a lifetime, but that's just the
Well,
sport.
it's it kind of encapsulates life again in that if you do something really well, and again from the sporting perspective, you're going to get this easily. You were relaxed,
Okay.
right? And if the routine and the mundane became the impossible, it's because you were tight. Bottom line, right? When I was coaching baseball and I was throwing batting practice in the cage, and the kids would drill a line drive off the net right back at my head, I'd say, hey, relax, you're tight, relaxed, giddy up. Fisted ball on the ground, no sound off the bat, relax, you're tight, tight. Coincidence? And I, kind of give the smart ass coach nonverbal, like, right?
Yeah.
And then so I got them to think relaxed or tight, relaxed or tight, relaxed or tight. So that way, if they did make an error in the field, it was a lot easier for them to understand that mechanically and technically I am a good player. I was either tight and the play didn't work, and I
Mm,
didn't work, or I was relaxed and I just made a gold glove play worthy of the Hall of Fame, right?
nice.
So it's really a matter of just that mindset of relaxed or tight, relaxed or tight, relaxed. And now when I'm racing my mountain bike and I had technical skill go south, it's like relaxed or tight, right? There are days on a mountain bike racing where you feel like you have no chain because it's that easy. Relaxed or
Mm,
tight. You're in the flow because you're relaxed. You're not trying to force what's going to happen. You're just letting it come to you, right?
I love that. That brings up so I feel like I operate on a tight, I'm always tight day to day. And then in a sporting sense, like I think back, like I play men's league hockey once a week. Um, but I think back to like when the season was ending and we were in the playoffs and stuff like that. Like I was tight. Like as you're explaining what you're explaining, I can think back to like how I felt on the ice, how I was moving with the puck or without it, and I'm like, damn, like I was not. The first game of the year, I hadn't played in 3 years. I think I scored 3 goals in 2 periods.
Patrick,
It was just I was just felt like I was just happy to be on the ice, super chill,
right?
brand new team. I was like, this is gonna be fun. Get to the end of the year, I put all this pressure on myself. It's playoffs, and then I was just like, it's because it's funny because I've done that so many times because I just put so much pressure. So I got to think of that from now on.
It's funny because regular season and play and postseason, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
it's the same book.
Yeah,
It's just a different title. The content in between the covers is the same, right? Pass the puck, find a lane, wheel snipe Sally, boys, right?
my guy.
I mean,
It's true.
hat check or back check, forecheck, paycheck. It's
That's
all the
it.
same,
Yeah,
whether it's regular season or not. It's just, are you lifting up a piece of metal at the end or not? But objectively, the goal is to keep the goal and put the biscuit in the basket to score a goal or to keep
Mhm.
it out of the goal. Nothing changes. It's not like, okay, it's the playoffs now and it's a complete overhaul of how the game is played. No, simplicity still wins the day if
Yeah.
you're lucky,
So
right?
you're saying our mindset is our biggest asset or weakness.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Much.
fair. Did you play baseball like competitively? How far did
Yeah,
you
I
go?
played through my, let's see here, redshirt freshman the first year, diving for a ball. Oh man, this is the worst. Diving for a ball my freshman year in the outfield of practice, and I broke a bone in my hand. That ended that season. And then the next season, so dumb. I trashed my ankle playing football over Thanksgiving. And my dad was a brilliant guy because he said that, if you walk off the field with a clean uniform, you didn't play well enough, you didn't try hard enough, and you let your teammates down. So that's kind of my approach for everything that I do, actually. It's like, is my uniform clean at the end of the day? Yeah. You got to adjust next time, boy. You got to play a little harder next time, right? With business, with my workouts, with whatever, right? And he told me, he's like, hey, that thing sitting above your shoulders is going to take you a lot farther than your bat and your glove will at this point in your life. And I was pissed, John. I was so mad at him
That's
because he
tough.
told me he didn't tell me I wasn't good enough to play anymore. He said I had better chances of success if I chose the academic route. And it took me a long time to come to grips with that. And it took me even longer time to figure out, holy shit, he did me the biggest favor anybody's ever done me in my life. And then once I figured that out, I was like, yeah, you know what, man? If I look back, the writing on the wall was on the jumbotron in neon letters, but I was in denial because of my ego. So we take the ego out of it and let the flow back in. I was like, you know what? Dude is right, man. Dude is right.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And
Yeah,
we need people like that in our lives to steer us in the right direction, even if we don't want to hear it. I mean, that's part of the beauty of coaching too.
right.
What got you into were you working out? Were you into fitness while you were playing baseball? Because I know some athletes don't, like some baseball players, especially, like, no, I don't want to hit the weights. Was fitness a part of your life then too when you're playing?
Yeah, I was super lucky when in high school and in college, in that the you kind of, it's not you're judged by the company you keep, but birds of a feather, right? We
For
we
sure.
trained together more or less, and the people that I hung out with, it was a great group because if you got bad grades, you got drilled by the group, I mean, we were just all over you. Like, what is wrong with you, dude? Get your shit together and let's raise your game, man. Come on. What do you want to be stupid and the rest of your life or what? Let's go. And then in the weight room, hey, I'll see you in the gym tomorrow, right? And it was that comma right, and you know what that's like, right? It then becomes a an optional Saturday practice, which really isn't optional.
No. So
right?
you're going. It's not even you're not asking. You're
Yeah,
telling them
right.
that you'll see them.
So the group of people I hung out with came with the expectation of academic and physical success,
Nice.
regardless of if you were still playing sports or not. Take care of yourself and just do the thing, right? Because there's a ring to get at some point. It might not be sports or whatever, but yeah. So we really influenced each other really, really well. So I was totally into fitness in high school and in college, and then when I was 21, when I turned 21, I was totally into being 21, and
naturally,
yeah, and I got really out of shape, like horribly out of shape, like disgusted with myself, out of shape. And there was a place that had the go-karts near the house in college, and you get the driver's license picture, and my face took up the whole picture. And I was like, oh my God, who's that guy? And then I called my parents that night and I was like, hey, for my birthday, you're going to give me a trainer for a week and I'll take care of the rest. And that was when I was 21, and I haven't looked back since. And then in college, I got into training people. And then after college, my parents like, hey, we paid for you to go to Santa Clara University, which it ain't cheap. And you're going to kind of put to use what we paid for, and then you can figure it out from there. So for 6 years, I went on to the corporate world, learned the internet from engineers in '96. So I can HTML, I can Photoshop, I can do digital photography and set things up the right way. I mean, Canva to me is a blast. You've seen my Canva prowess.
Yeah.
And I learned to write. Luckily, I learned business development, marketing, customer service. I mean, I sat at a table, across the side of the table, people screaming at me because somebody else created a problem I had to clean up.
Yeah.
And then sales and basically everything that we have to do now. Like I got a master class for 6 years without going into student debt, which was nice. And then my wife, at one point, I started waking up like, oh, I'm not happy. I don't do this corporate business anymore, because it was a pattern of when layoffs would, I mean, it was right when the bubble was bursting in the 2000s, right? And I was like, I got to get out, because my wife's getting up. She's happy in the morning. She likes what she does. She's working with humans again. I'm like, I miss working with the humans. And then I got back into personal training in 2001. Specifically, I was thinking about it. And then we went to my mother-in-law's house one weekend. She had Scientific American magazine. And on the cover was something that if like, I'm sure that if finances and geography weren't an issue, there is a certain way you would want to be trained by somebody somewhere, right? And if I mean, in an absolute perfect world, and you were to say, hey, Al, how would you like to be trained? I would want to go to Colorado Springs for 6 months, take my family, why not? And I would want to be trained like 100-meter sprinter.
Nice.
Yeah, right. So on the cover was a 100-meter sprinter, and the content was about fast twitch versus slow twitch muscle fibers and DNA and genetics, everything else. And I was like, dude, I read that. I got to get back. I got to get back to it, right? And in fact, I took that cover and I framed it and I put it on the wall of the first facility that I owned.
Nice.
As my check and balance against my ego, like that's your roots, dude. Don't get away from that. Don't let your ego get out of control. I inevitably did.
Well,
because the place was super successful and I ran it. Yeah, dude, it was a train wreck. I learned more about running my business, my studio, after it closed than I did when it was open, just because I finally had a chance to slow down and be on the outside and look in and think, oh my God, how did it last that long? But yeah, it was a good experience. So that's how I got into training.
You were just riding the fun train, eh? I didn't know you ran your own studio.
Yeah, I've had 2 facilities. Yeah,
What?
The first one, the building got sold, as was the way of things in the Silicon Valley in
Of course.
2013, and then went somewhere else for a while and just kind of regrouped mentally and from a business standpoint, and then opened another spot with somebody and then moved on, which was a blessing in disguise, because in 2020, when everything shut down, I woke up every day of my life so grateful I did not have my name on a lease and that overhead that I had to meet, which was nice.
That's tough, man. Like, and the gym that I go to, they apparently opened up in 2020. And I'm like, I haven't talked to the owner or anything like that because I just signed up there this year and we just moved last year. I'm like, how is that possible? Because gyms in Ontario were only open in 2020 for like maybe a month before they shut down again. Like we had this brief period of like, yeah, we'll open things up. And they open things up, and then okay, we're shutting things back down again. And then we were the most locked down out of everybody. So every gym owner I feel so bad. Like, cause just gym owners and restaurants to me are the toughest.
Yeah,
Because like my dad owned a restaurant, my family owned a restaurant. Like you pour your heart and soul into that stuff. And like with restaurants, if you have to buy food and you shut down, where's that food going?
right.
Right. It's super
Well,
tough.
what about your staff too, right? What are they going to do?
That's I know. So it's like you're bleeding money at that point. And gym facility is kind of the same. So you got out of the gym space. Is that what were you doing any online work? Like while you were
doing in 2015, because I was in the Mark Fisher Fitness Business for Unicorns group.
Okay.
And then I started to get into online training just so I could scale past the physical walls, right?
Yep.
Of a facility. And then in January 2020, when Europe started to shut down, they told us, look, it's going to happen here. It's not a matter of if, it's going to be when, and count on 9 months at least. So they got us really out in front of all of that. So by the time March hit and everything shut down, I was already on Zoom. I was already coaching and teaching over that medium and using Trainerize. So I was already set for that, which nice. I will be forever grateful to Mark Fisher and Michael Keeler for that. Forever grateful. And then that turned into something that, you know what, I kind of dig this online training thing, because you can scale it and you can do so much more in less time and help a lot more people. And I feel that it taps into more of my extroverted, obnoxiously sarcastic personality and my creativity.
No.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, like, my mom is here right now, and I can ask her, hey, how perfect is your son? And she'll come on and she'll tell you how amazing I am. Well, she probably won't. She'll probably tell you what an ass I am. Anyway, but I like it quite a bit, because I did in-person training 2001 to essentially 2020, and 19 years of doing the same thing, essentially the same way. It's a long time. I mean, I did workshops and I wrote and podcasted as a host and guest. And, you know, so I had some creative outlets, blogging and whatnot, but I didn't realize how burnt out on all of that I was on that until that first week of March 16th, the week of March 16th, 2020, my brain had a chance to finally relax, and it just opened up.
Yeah.
And it gave me a chance to see that what you did was really good, and you got really far, but there's a new thing for you to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And it changes like the wind, and you'll never be on top of it, which I love.
You do like a challenge. You do like to be pushed. Yeah. And I mean, I do think that we all have different chapters in life, whether we know that it's the next one's coming or not.
Yeah.
They're there. Like for me, like my life up until 2015, 2016, like I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just a young guy playing hockey, working out, didn't know what to do with his career, had a fun job. And then I was like, you know what? Like this fitness thing this is it for me. Like I'm obviously not going far in hockey. I don't want to sit at a desk all day.
Right.
That's what I'm doing these days.
Yeah, right.
You know
the irony of.
But no, and then the chapter was like, okay, now we have a family. It's like, okay, now, well, this is in-person training, learning this, learning that. And even now from 2020 to now, I'd say it's a new chapter. It's like to adapt and grow and have a family throughout a pandemic and kids starting school. It's like you have to adapt. And it brings us back to the beginning where you said, like, you know, inning 1 and inning 9 are not the same. They're not. Inning 1 and inning 2 aren't the same for most people, right? You have to learn how to pivot and adjust, whether it's business, whether it's fitness, whether it's just relationships. Like if you've been with someone long enough, things can get mundane if you let them. That's what I always say. You've been with your wife for how long?
We got since 1999 is when we met.
Okay, so you got some years on me and mine, but it's like those that are in long-term relationships, and I know it's a bit off topic, but if you feel like something's boring or wrong or mundane, like you have the power to change that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just like you said, like you loved what you're doing with the gym and fitness and in-person training, but you're like, you were burnt. Like it's just you needed something different or new,
Yeah.
or so I think it speaks to you as a person, man, of like being able to shift and pivot and take on challenges. Like is like 2020 was scary for a lot of gym owners,
Right.
and you might have probably shit bricks a little bit, but you turned a corner pretty damn well, I'd say.
Well, and I was super lucky because I was in Silicon Valley where it's magic money abounds all over the place. So I didn't have the same pressures and terror of folks in areas that aren't as financially
Mm-hmm.
sustainable, right? Which again goes back to when I opened my facility. It was 2008, one of the worst economic downturns in the history of this country.
Yeah.
And luckily, I didn't pay attention to the news. And I had people tell me, "What are you doing, dude?" Reset, whatever the words they used back then to describe economic catastrophe. And I was like, don't tell me I can't do it because you're gonna motivate me more
Yeah, I love
to
that.
do it well, and do it better than the next gym.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Because
I
you're
mean, we won all those awards that they give you for marketing, like we're going to give you this award so you can market our magazine or whatever. But it was kind of cool to get those and get that recognition. And it was like, okay, so to go from don't open this place because it's going to be a financial disaster to that wall with all those awards. Yeah, those happened for a reason.
yeah.
And it turned into having a cycling program and just all these other things that nobody else was doing, and creating a blue ocean to swim in that other people wanted to be a part of, and then continuing to try to make that blue ocean more creative, more innovative, and bigger to stay out in front of the people who were behind me.
I want to talk about that too. Is the pivot in the, I don't want to call it a niche necessarily, but the population that you work with now and what you do with it in the cycling and all that. How did that come about? Because I know you do a lot of mountain biking. You enjoy that.
In 2001, 2001, something like that. I got a bike for my 30th birthday from my folks, and I started riding it. And it's a quintessential story of getting into a sport where you start doing the sport and then you see the magazine about the sport. And in the magazine is the advertising for the places where you can buy the stuff that you don't need because what you have already works perfectly, but it's always N+1, especially in the cycling world.
Yeah.
And I started to get into that, and then just started to love it because it was on dirt. So it connected me to baseball to some extent. Don't ask me how, but it did. And then that got me into speaking in front of bike clubs. Then I connected with a cycling coach and I was working with his athletes, and I got really hardcore into it. Then I started racing, and then I saw how other things were being run from a cycling perspective. And I thought, you know what, with these couple of nips and tucks and tweaks, that could be made better. And that could be something that everybody wants to do. We're going to do that. And that's what we did. We created a huge community on the bike. We had jerseys made. And I'm telling you, John, to be on a bike ride and see somebody even going the other way, other side of the road, with your logo on their back,
That's
it was
huge.
just like, oh yeah, dude. But see, the problem was I saw that and I was like, I made it.
Yeah.
Yep. And what I made was a huge mistake, thinking that I was at the top of the hill, because I wasn't at all. And I learned that, and I think it was a blessing in disguise, and it needed to happen for that studio to be closed. And it broke my heart because I love that place. I mean, it took a long time to get over that. But it showed me that you got really far, but you didn't make it. You're still on your journey, and really, you're never going to arrive. You just got to keep going. You got to keep plugging away. You got to keep pivoting when you have to. Got to keep being creative. Got to keep talking to the right people. Stay in the right mindset. Read the right books. Listen to the right things. don't ever stop. Because when you do and you get comfortable, boom, right? Forecheck into the glass, concussion done for the game, right? So I don't like sitting still. I love learning, and I'm a serial entrepreneur until the day I die. I am unhireable at this point in my life. I would be the
I
worst
imagine.
employee because I'm the kind of person where I'll see something and I'll see the way it's working, but I'll find a way to make it work better, more efficiently,
Yeah.
and get better results in less time. And that doesn't play out in the corporate world because
No.
it moves too slow. It'll happen and you can innovate in the corporate world, but the way we do things, we can do it a lot faster. And I love that.
You can innovate tomorrow. Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah. So one of the reasons I wanted to get into cycling is because, as I'm sure you know, everybody wants to train the traditional field and court sport athletes, right?
Fair. Yeah, it's more popular.
Baseball, hockey, basketball, now soccer. That's soccer, especially it's funny, MLS soccer now, and Apple would not have taken a flyer on broadcasting the MLS games next year if MLS wasn't growing. And it's growing exponentially here in the States, and I love it. It's great. So it was like, okay, nobody's servicing cyclists 35 to 54 years old who sit behind a desk all day. Nobody is teaching them what they're doing to their bodies from a repetitive stress standpoint after sitting all day, driving to ride their bike, to sit down to ride their bike, to drive home seated, to sit down and eat seated, to finally stand up to shower, to lay down to go to sleep, right? That's a ton of repetitive stress in that hunched over flexed position. Nobody is getting people who never played sports before, which is the beautiful aspect of cycling, is anybody can do it, right? To feel like an athlete, to have that experience of feeling like an athlete. So we did training camp weekends kind of stuff where we'd go out and we'd have a support car following us around and we would treat people like racers.
That's cool.
Right? Yeah, dude. And so we didn't have people like for a century ride, it's 100 miles. And the thought process at the time was you got to be able to ride 100 miles to finish 100 miles. And I was like, no, ridiculous. You don't have to ride 100 miles to finish 100 miles. Who the hell has that kind of time?
Mm-hmm.
If you train the right way at the right intensity, you can train your body to ride 70 miles at a super hard clip. And that extra 30, you can just coast and skate through because your engine's that big. You can just kind of, at a more casual pace, that's not going to catch up to you. Right. So we did that. And it was so much fun to see people have athletic success, either in a long time or for the first time. And that just connected with me big time. So I never really got away from that. It kind of went dormant for a while. And then in the pandemic and the rigors of schedules and having kids at home and everything else, I kind of pivoted to working with parents a little bit. But I missed that sporting aspect of things. I mean, let's be honest, raising kids is a game. And your opponent is a clock who wants you tired and stressed and beaten down at the end of your day, and you still gotta be relaxed or tight throughout your day, right? And so now I've lucked out up here in Idaho. The mountain bike community is super strong, and I've been incredibly fortunate to meet some folks who have connected me through it with it, and it's starting to reinvigorate something that I used to do a long time ago. Now I can put a better spin on it because I know more about training. And I was on a walk yesterday with another trainer who moved from the Silicon Valley, lives up here. And he said something like, sometimes I feel like I should apologize to the people I trained 10 years ago because I didn't know as much. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Right?
I
was thinking about that. Yeah, dude. Some of the stuff I had one guy one time. Oh my God, John. If I would have seen this and you would have seen this, you would have been like, oh, fitness fail video. Here we go. I had this person standing on a Bosu using a body blade with like this thing around the waist with bands that attached at the ankles. Cause I thought stability, strength, and resisting lateral forces, which conceptually was good, but it looked like a circus act, And I look back at that kind of stuff now and how I train people now, and I look back at that stuff then, I'm like, oh my God, I should have been laughed out of the industry.
but that's the sign of a good trainer, man. Like I think if you feel like any coach listening to this, if you feel like you don't have any regrets from how you coached people,
Oh,
you need to really take a good look at what you're doing. Because I think any coach needs to grow.
yep.
And if you can't look back at your programming and be like, what the fuck was I doing? There's a real problem here. It means you haven't changed. Like I've had the same thought from time to time. Like I wish I can go back and apologize, be like, I'm sorry for giving you fucking such frequent barbell training when you really didn't need it. Like, and like just things like that where I was
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
you get stuck in this zone, and or you're reading about a certain topic too much and you start applying it to everybody, even though when it doesn't apply to them. That's, you have to grow from that as a coach, or else you kind of, you'll fizzle out, or you'll kick yourself out of the industry, I think, at that point.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And that was one of the things I learned. I mean, if there was a bridge, I burned it to the ground when I owned my first studio. I pissed off so many people because of my ego. And, I still feel bad about that from time to time. But there was a guy who worked at the studio. His name was Jason Agrella. He's one of the trainers there. And he was constantly, this dude was hungry. He was hungry. I mean, I love this guy to death. He was, I'm like at least 20 years, 15 years older than he is. And I looked up to this guy because of how hungry he was and how he went about his business. And he taught me, without even doing it, just by example, simplicity of training. And the way he trained people, I mean, he had people doing pistol squats who could barely get in and out of a chair correctly.
Jesus.
I mean, but he would have them do what then was boring, but now we see as mastery of monotony to create exciting, right? Because that's where exciting comes from. It's boring. And I started to follow his lead a little bit, and I was like, oh my God, dude, he's getting more with less. That's the way to go, And and I see that now. I mean, as much as we use social media to drive our business forward, I feel like social media sends our industry backwards based on the imagery of it. Instead of preaching simplicity and having fitness be a piece of your life and not your life, that they're doing it a disservice, right? So now, like, I'll have somebody get up and down from the floor, because we know that's a viable life skill, statistically leads to longevity, for 3 to 4 minutes, different ways. And then they'll just do like a squat, a push, and a pull variation. That's the workout.
It's not sexy, Al. It's not sexy.
No, it's not, but it's pretty goddamn effective. I'll tell you that right now. Because like with Juan Carlos Santana, brilliant dude. I love that guy, pioneer, right? His progression chart of how to make things more difficult is exquisite, because it's parallel, split, single.
Okay.
With the lower body, your base support, upper body, 2 arms, alternating arm, single arm. That's what we do, right?
It's true.
And then the people like on Instagram, if you're not following her, she's a great follow, Jess Bento Physio, and she does a lot of stuff. I think she's a physical therapist. A lot of stuff with the DVRT sandbag folks.
Okay.
And there's a phenomenal set of physical therapists in the Bay Area, Revolutions of Fitness, Curtis Cramlett, Mark McMahon, Katie Kennedy, who now has her own place. And they taught me the relationship between origin of pain and where it manifests. And they're typically miles apart.
Yep.
Mechanically, something was misused, not overused. I hate overuse injury. No, you misused it and it broke. You didn't overuse it. And then, so I went in there one time. Oh man, it was one of those stupid injuries where I was bending over to pick something up. I rotated a little bit and I was not standing up.
It's the dad injury.
Yeah, right. Until I got in to see them. And they had my palms flat on the floor by the time I got there. And I wasn't even gonna get to my hands and mid-thigh.
Wow.
They didn't work on my back. They worked on the regions diagonally, the most distant from the origin of my pain. Got rid of it. Right? And then they really hammered into me diagonal loading lines and how opposites attract through the middle of your body. And that has been an absolute game changer for me, which is why for mountain biking and road biking, mountain biking more, it's the same. That information is now just starting to get out of your right hand on the bar connected to your left foot on the pedal, cornering to your right and vice versa. And people think I can't corner one way as well to the other. I'm a horrible human being. I should take up golf. And I'm like, no, we're going to do this really quick isometric drill, and I'm going to completely transform the way you ride a switchback within seconds. And they look at me like, look, man, I've been doing this for years. You think you're going to fix it in seconds? I'm like, yup,
Yep.
let's do it. And
Nice.
then they go through the thing, and then they do it magically, right?
I love that.
Right. And I get them breathing as they do it. Inhale, exhale. And then I bring it back to, hey, relaxed or tight. And some people, if they're fun, they give me the finger.
Nice. That's my favorite.
Other people give me a smile, you know. But again, there it comes back down to relaxed or tight. So
Yeah.
it's just these simple nuances of training that, again, I would love to write an apology letter to every person I don't train anymore that I trained back then, who hopefully is doing that kind of stuff now.
You didn't know any better. That's part of it too, right? It's like we're always learning.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's simplicity, but it's overlooked. A lot of the simple stuff is overlooked too. It's overshadowed by the exciting stuff, like the bodybuilding style volume where you're doing like 30 friggin' 40 sets of workout and things like that, and just getting people away from just overexerting when they don't have to, because it looks cool, because it feels great. It feels good to get your ass kicked in a workout, granted. But when you're, the example I love to use, like when you're a mother of two who's already stressed with work, and you have kids, and you have this and you have that, and you have laundry, you have cooking, you just whatever, you don't need more ass kicking stress in your life from a workout. You need simplicity, you need basics, mastery, just the things you've been saying, and just improve over time. That's really it. That's right.
Yeah. In 2020, my philosophy of training shifted again to an even more simplified form of simple, because of that very thing you just said. And I tried to get people to realize, after I, the physician healed himself, that, okay, look, we don't know when this thing's going to end. At some point it will, because this too shall end, and it always does, one way or the other. But until then, do you really want to add all of this physical stress onto the emotional stress of what you're dealing with? Do you really want to stick to your workout program, or do you want to just move consistently?
Yeah.
And move consistently could be a 5-minute walk twice a day. Moving consistently could be get your exercise bands, anchor them to the door, do the kitchen workout, where do 20 pulling motions, 10 pushing motions, because I like 2 to 1, pull to push.
Yep.
And then go check what you're cooking. Everything looks good, get your bread, dip it in your sauce, take a little pull of your red wine there, and go back to what you're doing.
Intra workout.
Right? They kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But just, I try to get people to understand that it doesn't have to be this Herculean effort of insanity where you should just stop working out. And I wrote a blog post on it. I think I did.
You probably did.
I probably did. Who knows? And if I did, it was probably awesome. I mean, let's be honest, because it's me.
That's why I have you here.
So like, dude, why'd you have this guy on? But to tell people, like, stop working out, right? And I told a few people, like, well, don't you train people? I'm like, yeah. Well, why are you telling me to stop working out? Because I'm telling you, move more consistently, you're going to get a lot further faster, and you're going to be a lot less stressed. You're going to feel better. You won't be as sore. Soreness is not a badge of honor. Sore is not more when it comes to working out. It's just more recovery time you need.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Right? Are you going to be sore? Yeah, if you're doing something new, or if you manipulate a volume or intensity variable, some kind of recovery variable, then yeah, because your body's adapting to the new stimulus. But it shouldn't be every single time you wake up next to a half-empty bottle of Jack Daniels and a gutted bottle of ibuprofen, because you're so sore.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to sleep in a tub of ice to recover from your workout.
How'd you know that was my recovery this week from all my hamstring work? How'd you know that?
The Jack Daniels and the ibuprofen or the ice?
No, it would definitely not be the Jack Daniels. I have to wake up.
And that's just to make a point, people. That's not like, don't ever do that, because
don't do that.
Stupid, horrible, and dumb all at the same time.
Yeah, not great.
Right? But people get too crazy, and the simple is what works the best. I got into the when they used to do it, they have a different approach now, or a different set of offerings. The Gold Medal Body Fitness, the Rings program, the R1. Okay. I did that. And oh man, the strength that I had just from working on the high hold to get into dips above the rings, and then the different things you do to work up to be able to do a muscle up and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, to me, that is good training because it's simple, it's realistic, and it actually works biomechanically the way your body is meant to function.
Mm-hmm.
Exhibit primal pattern strength, right?
That's super hard. We don't have a lot of primal anything right now, though. That's I think that's where most of the issues would lie is we're seated and flexed or we're lying down. So it's not primal at all. Which not to say you have to be primal all the time, but I think that's where that style of training would be very like too hard for most people right now too. Like you'd have to
Yeah,
build up to that.
yeah, and that's why I love Tim Anderson in Original Strength because he's all about getting back to basics to move better going forward, right? I mean, he had, and I tried this one day and I was like, wow, that dude's a lot stronger than I am. So he's one of these people who can do a get up with the Olympic bar in a pair of 45s.
Holy shit, what?
Yeah, dude, and make it look like he's holding on to oxygen. Yeah, he was a strong man. But his whole thing, it's all ground based and rewiring the diagonal connections and through crawling and crawling variations.
Okay. I
And
feel like we
what
talked
I,
about this before. Yeah, tell me. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
one of his tests, I believe, was coast to coast on a football field without stopping, up and back.
In a bear crawl?
Regular crawling. Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
just, yeah, dude. And I mean, the cardiovascular hit alone with that is much better than any burpee will ever be. I hate burpees.
Oh, fuck those things.
Oh, I
No.
hate them with a
Yeah,
passion, man.
no.
They're so, to me, and again, I don't mean to bash on industry, but a burpee to me is like fluff filler because I can't come up with anything better to get your heart rate up.
Fuck. Thank you. Nice. Nice.
Yeah. And it's like, I've trained long enough to know that what is and what isn't productive use of time and why you would give somebody something just to,
Just to raise their
I
heart.
mean, it's marketing, right? I mean, it is. It's
It was
marketing
it
because
was hard,
look,
so it worked.
right? Look how tired I am. Look how sweaty I am. Look
Yeah.
how sore I am. Look how hard I had to work. That's marketing. That's not training. That's marketing. Is there an application for that? If you can do all the components individually correctly and stabilize a push-up position plank, and you can get in and out of a chair correctly, and you could perform a proper hip hinge correctly for the jumping portion of it, and you know how to tuck your knees into your body without thoroughly flexing your lumbar spine to do it, okay, you can put all those components together into one movement because, compound movement, it's
Yep.
still a compound movement that uses a lot of energy. However, it's been bastardized in the fact that people don't break down the steps of the whole thing to be able to do the finished product correctly.
Yeah.
And that's why I hate them. That's why I hate them.
There's better,
Because,
you said it, there's better uses of your time, right?
yeah,
For you're just the jumps are half-ass, the plank push-ups aren't real. You're not engaging your core, you're not engaging your glutes. You're just, I don't want to say flopping around, but it's kind of what it looks like. Imagine any movement where you're getting super tired. When I think of like doing laps in hockey practice back in the day, like my first lap and my last lap didn't look the same.
right?
If you're doing sprints back and forth, like you're tired of shit, your form breaks down, it feels terrible. Burpees are one of those things that I think are just created, like you said, is just to make someone feel tired. So they're like, if they feel accomplished, which, at the end of the day in fitness, like you want people to feel good, but you and I both know that there's better ways to do it. I think that's just it, right? There's good, better, best. Burpees ain't it.
Yeah. And can we throw the kipping pull up under that bus too?
Don't get me started on those. That's a sport specific movement. That's what I've come down to. Like, I don't want to bash CrossFit. I used to talk shit about CrossFit when I was young and immature, but like the kipping pull up to me is what the like barbell bench press is to powerlifting. Barbell bench presses are extremely overrated for most people. For powerlifting, you need to do it. So it's sport specific. So you have to train that movement. In the bench press, it's the arch, kipping pull up, it's the whatever they're doing to get over the bar. It's just you learn that for that, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine what Spartan athletes or competitors Yeah, I don't. There's got to be an application for it. I don't know what it is.
For
but I'm
kipping?
sure there is. Yeah, yeah.
It's momentum. No,
Well,
the,
sure, but what do you need that momentum for, from an athletic standpoint
from an athletic,
or competition standpoint?
I don't
There's got to
see
be
it.
something.
What kind of sport are we talking other than CrossFit?
I don't know. That's the thing, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's CrossFit sport specific. That's what I mean. That serves no other. There's other things you can do in other sports. We talked about baseball. We talked about biking. We talked about hockey. There's 3 other sports that you would never, ever need to do a kipping pull up ever
Yeah.
to perform better in those sports.
Well, as Dan John says, fitness is the ability to do a task. How much fitness do you need to get through your day? Modulate accordingly.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't need any kipping pull ups to get through mine.
Reach a few inches further, just so you got a little extra in the tank if you need it, but not a mile and a half. And don't try to drive 100 miles on 50 miles of gas, because unless you're going down a hill, it ain't gonna happen.
No,
You'll be pushing for a while, which is a whole other really good exercise. You're gonna push your car, but still, you probably get a little tired.
That's a pass for me. I meant to ask you this question earlier. What's more technical, baseball to swing a bat or mountain bike riding?
That's a damn good question.
Because I know you got your hands in both.
Well, because in the batter's box, you hit a fastball. It's funny, man. I used to have an argument with somebody all the time. It was harder to hit a golf ball or a baseball. I'm like, dude, golf ball's sitting still. Baseball is coming at your head at 90 miles an hour. It ends up in your feet, half a blinking eye. And you have to determine ball or strike. Do I swing? Do I take it? Where's the location of the pitch? How do I adjust my biomechanical movement with this stick in my hand to hit the ball the right way so I don't make an out? You know, I mean, there's just so much more involved.
I think you just answered the question right there.
Right. But with mountain biking, you have technical terrain, right? Yeah. Mountain biking is it's a chess match depending on what the terrain you're riding. Because until somebody puts rocks and roots in front of you uphill, okay, not going downhill where you just use speed to go with, and hopefully you got the suspension in your bikes, you're not jarring your fillings loose. But it's a chess game because you got to figure out what line do I take to get through the rock or the root or the stair step, or, oh, that's a 50-foot drop into poison oak. I don't want to go that way. You know, poison oak is such a vile weed. I know there's an animal on this planet that eats it for the whole ecosystem to work.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I vote against it because it's terrible. Anyway, excuse me. But you need finesse and power on a mountain bike, and sometimes in the very same stretch of terrain.
Yeah.
And because then you throw in the cardiovascular component to it, mountain biking.
Well, I'm just asking technical. So we're just talking technical. I'm not talking cardiovascular. Yeah, I'm just talking.
Well,
technical.
The cardiovascular could erode the technical real quick, right?
Fair.
So both of them come down to controlled, sustained expression of anti-rotation resistance isometrically while arms and legs can move.
So what a professional answer. That was just like the most.
That's a long way. Like, that's a very fancy, pompous way to say you have to move your body while you're trying to keep the earth from moving you to the left or to the right.
Yeah. No, Stella. I mean, I don't know if there is a right answer because it's tough. There's so many variables at hand.
Yeah, there's so many. But God damn you. No, I'm going to think about that.
You're welcome. I expect a blog post.
You know, that's the equivalent of, I used to work with a guy super long time ago. And the sole expression of his happiness in life was to try to put the most god awful, horrible song in my head that he could at 8 o'clock in the morning for the rest of the workday.
Dick. I'm like that too.
Oh my God, dude. Like, he had me singing the Facts of Life theme song in my head all day one time. And I mean, it's the equivalent of a parent who hears Wheels of the Bus or Down by the Bay or something. And this is like when I moved from the studio I owned to the other place that I worked. It was when Lily was about, it was 2013, so she was 2-ish. Yeah. So, you know, we had the kids Pandora Station on all the time. So man, you'll get this, and any parent listening to this will get this too. You'll think I'm insane, or you'll be like, yeah, right. we were in the main floor there talking, and somebody said, I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, yep. I turned around and I said, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. I was just like, oh my God, I'm a parent.
Yeah.
And then somebody else said something about a bus that went by, and there's the wheels on the bus. And I said, go round and round. Yeah, dude. It was at that point I knew it was game, set, and match.
Yeah.
My brain was cooked.
Yeah, the kids songs is a whole nother, like, I can't even, between the Wiggles and Sesame Street and Baby Bum and whatever else in between, it's a lot of repetition. And I like repetition too, but not those. There's only so much of those you can take in a day.
Right.
Yeah.
Give me some old school 90s hip hop
all day long.
Team
no problem.
Repetition, the Roots repetition, Black Sheep repetition. Give me some of that. Yeah, I'm good.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. We're coming up to the tail end, and I need to know before we head off, because I do have a hard stop, is why don't you like Reese cups? This is the most pressing topic on my mind today.
Because
I don't get it, man.
Because with the Justins, you get the dark chocolate and the peanut butter.
Okay.
And that combination, that dark with the salty, oh man, I don't understand how you know religiously, philosophically, or morally see how you're making such a bad life choice by not doing the Justins. I'm just saying.
Is dark chocolate the game changer for you? I don't understand. Is that it?
Yeah. The white chocolate one's like, okay, I did it. White chocolate is more of a rite of passage, like watching the first 3 Star Wars movies. It's like, it's a horrible cinematic experience, but you have to do it just to say, I watched all the movies.
Yeah.
And and then they have the dark chocolate, and I think it's sea salt on them.
That's nice.
Right? See?
Yeah, but I can't. That sounds good, but it's Reese though. Like, Reese is king and always will be.
Well, here's what you do. Okay, I'm going to solve all of your problems right now. I'm going to help you make really good life choices.
I don't have a problem. I don't have any problems with Reese.
And I wore this hat today as actually my rebuttal to your Marvel fandom. I had to wear this.
For those listening, he's wearing a Batman hat. For whatever reason.
His name's not Batman. He is the dude.
Sorry. Okay.
That's how we refer to him in my house. Anyway, Black Adam looks really good. Come on, Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam. Is that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's awesome. But most.
Okay, and then as a Marvel fan, have you seen who's been cast for Namor?
No.
Doesn't look like him at all.
Okay.
You're gonna be disappointed when you see who was cast, unless they doll him up with the CG and everything. But Dwayne Johnson looks like Black Adam.
Okay, sick.
Okay.
You're deviating from the Reese discussion now.
Yes, I know. Yeah. I'm just trying to make 2 points in one stone. So you get the Reese, because the packages are, I think they're comparable size. You open up the Reese, right? You take them out, spread them off to the side. You get the Justins. Yeah, you know where I'm going. Open the Justins, put them in the Reese. That way you can stylistically, philosophically, creatively convince yourself that, look, it's in the Reese package. But then morally, and as a decent human being, you could see what it's like that on the other side of the fence, that greener grass with the darker chocolate that the rest of us see. Then I think you'd be okay.
I don't get it, man. We used to be friends, dude. I don't understand this at all.
I feel like I don't even know you anymore.
Here's my best argument for Reese over Justin's. Is Reese comes in all shapes now. Eggs, ghosts, pumpkins, Santa Claus, not just cups. So the versatility of having different shapes of that amazing chocolate puts it just above the Justins. And that's my
So what you just said completely contradicted what we talked about in regards to simplicity of training.
Yeah, we're not training. I'm eating. I'm eating.
It's pure. It's basic. That other thing,
Reese is novel, but it's delicious.
No, it's the burpees of the candy.
Hey!
It's
now,
it's shiny objects. It's look how many ways we're going to try to distract you from our core offering with these.
You called Reese the equivalent to a burpee. That crosses the line. Burpees are mint chocolate. Let's be clear. It's not real chocolate.
I love me some Reese. I just like Justin's better.
That's fair.
Cool.
I accept. We're still friends, Al. It's okay.
I certainly will.
Before we go, let everyone know where they can find you. We're definitely gonna do a part 2 next year because I love shooting the shit with you.
Right? Oh, probably an insane asylum would be the first place that I look, because my daughter's now 11, and it's just
Nice.
it's crazy, John. It's insane. Anyway, integratefitness.com. You can find my blog where I pontificate on all manners PE, and at Do You Integrate on Instagram and Facebook. I also have the Sarcastically Fit Caffeine Cave, which is it's got to be one of the best names of any Facebook group in the history of the sport.
It's a really fun group too.
Right.
Yep.
We have, I mean, the coffee memes come for the coffee memes, but stay for the fitness information.
Yep.
The coffee meme, I mean, like religion, politics, and coffee, in all seriousness, like, are there 3 more passionate subjects that people get into?
Nutrition, like diet, like and Reese cups
for normal people, not
for normal people. Yeah, coffee's if you're a coffee snob.
I mean, sure. As far as I'm concerned, if you're drinking something other than an Ethiopian light roast single origin pour over, you're doing coffee wrong.
That's a bold statement that I don't have time to rebut on this podcast.
Because there is no rebuttal. That's a mic drop. Game, set, match statement.
Okay. You can have it. I'll let you have it. This is your show now. Welcome. Thanks everyone for welcome. I need some coffee. Thanks everyone for joining. Al, thanks so much for taking the time, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And please don't unsubscribe from John's show, people, just because there was a blip in his resume that happened to be me. Please.
This episode's gonna boost. Are you kidding? This is gonna boost my ratings. Or what are you talking about? It's gonna be great.
I would think it's a ratings bonanza, but that's that's me. So please don't unsubscribe. Share it with everybody you know, but don't unsubscribe.
You heard the man. We'll see you on the next one. Later.